The coffee is still hot when Nyasha Cole's hand stops mid-reach. She stands frozen on Harrison Street, staring at the empty wall. 6:40 a.m., same cracked sidewalk, same boarded-up brick building with rust bleeding through the mortar, same cold wind cutting through downtown Chicago like a blade. But the wall is empty. Walter Grayson isn't there. Nyasha's chest tightens. Her fingers grip the plastic container harder than necessary. The oatmeal inside is still steaming. She made it the way he likes it. Brown sugar, no raisins, extra cinnamon. She takes 3 steps forward. Her red heels click against concrete that's older than she is. Nothing. No paper cup, no duct-taped boots, no trembling hands folded in his lap like he's waiting for orders that will never come. The wall is just a wall. But before we do, if you want to be entered in our video shout-out giveaway, simply subscribe now, then comment "I subbed" and you will be entered. This video's shout-out giveaway goes to Edward Patrick from Tennessee. Thanks for being part of the familia and supporting. Now it's time to get back into the story. Nyasha scans the street. A bus rumbles past, belching exhaust. 2 pigeons fight over a crumpled bag near the curb. A woman in scrubs hurries toward the train station, head down, phone glowing. No one sees her standing there. No one ever does. She's visible. 5'7" in a fitted red pantsuit that cost more than her first car. Hair braided tight against her skull. Posture straight enough to make drill sergeants weep. But she's not seen. Not really. Not at the financial firm where her mistakes get magnified under microscopes while her silence gets mistaken for agreement. Not in meetings where men interrupt her mid-sentence and then repeat her ideas louder. Not anywhere that matters. Except here. On this street. With him. Nyasha checks her watch. 6:42. She's already 2 minutes off schedule. Routine keeps chaos at bay. That's what her mother used to say. That's what Nyasha has believed for 34 years. She turns in a slow circle. Her breath makes small clouds in the October air. Where is he? The question sits heavy in her throat. She doesn't know why it matters so much. She doesn't know when Walter Grayson stopped being a stranger and started being something else. Something she can't name. Something that pulls at her ribs when she thinks about walking past this wall without stopping. She looks down at the container in her hands. The oatmeal is getting cold. Nyasha crouches down, sets the container against the wall where Walter always sits. She places the coffee beside it. The cup leaves a wet ring on the concrete. She straightens up, smooths her jacket, and tells herself this is fine. This is normal. People miss days. People move. People disappear. She's halfway to the corner when she hears it. A cough, wet, rattling. The kind of sound that comes from deep in the chest where air shouldn't struggle. Nyasha spins around. Walter is there. Not at the wall. 20 feet away, pressed against the side of a dumpster in the alley between 2 buildings. His coat is darker than usual. No, not darker. Wet. His white hair is plastered to his forehead. His hands shake worse than she's ever seen them shake. He's looking at her, but he's not moving toward her. Nyasha's feet carry her forward before her brain catches up. Her heels aren't made for speed, but she moves fast anyway. She reaches him in seconds. Walter! He doesn't respond. His eyes are glassy. His lips have a blue tint that makes her stomach drop. Walter, what happened? He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Sprinklers, he finally says. His voice sounds like gravel scraped across metal. Building owner turned them on. 3 a.m., soaked everything. Nyasha looks at his coat, his pants, his boots. Everything is drenched. In October, in Chicago, where the temperature dropped to 42 degrees last night. You've been out here wet for 3 hours? He doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. Nyasha crouches down to his level. Up close, she can see the way his jaw is clenched, the way his shoulders are drawn up tight, the way his whole body is trying to generate heat that isn't there. You need to get dry, she says. I'm fine. You're not fine. I've been colder. The words come out flat, factual, like he's reporting weather conditions instead of talking about his own body shutting down. Nyasha stands up. She pulls off her jacket. It's silk-lined, tailored, bought on sale, but still worth more than she wants to admit. She drapes it over his shoulders. Walter tries to push it away. Don't. Take it. You'll be cold. I'll be inside in 10 minutes. You won't. He looks at her for a long moment. Then he pulls the jacket tighter around himself. His hands are still shaking, but something in his face softens. Just barely. Just enough. Thank you, ma'am. Nyasha nods. She reaches into her bag, pulls out a $20 bill, and presses it into his palm before he can refuse. Get coffee. Real coffee. Not from here. From somewhere warm. Walter's fingers close around the bill. He doesn't look at it. He looks at her. Why do you do this? He asks. The question catches her off guard. In 4 months of stopping at this wall, he's never asked. She's never told. Nyasha opens her mouth, closes it. The truth is too big for this moment, too complicated, too wrapped up in guilt and memory and the way her father used to fold his uniform every night before bed, even after he stopped wearing it. Because someone should, she finally says. It's not the whole truth, but it's enough. She steps back. I have to go. Meeting at 7:30. Walter nods. Go. Nyasha hesitates. She wants to say more. She wants to ask if he'll be okay. She wants to know where he'll go when the temperature drops tonight. She wants to know his last name and his birthday and whether he has family somewhere who knows he's sleeping in alleys. But she doesn't ask. She turns and walks toward the corner. Her arms are bare. Goosebumps rise on her skin. The wind bites harder without the jacket. She doesn't look back. She makes it 3 blocks before she stops walking. Her hand goes to her pocket. Her phone is there. She could call someone, a shelter, a social worker, someone who knows how to help better than she does. But who? Nyasha stands on the corner of Harrison and State. The city is waking up around her. Car horns, train brakes, the smell of exhaust and fried eggs from the diner on the corner. People stream past her like water around a stone. She thinks about Walter pressed against that dumpster. She thinks about his blue lips. She thinks about the way he said, I've been colder, like it was a badge instead of a warning. Her phone buzzes. Work email. Subject line, urgent, compliance review meeting. Move to 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Nyasha checks her watch. 6:53. She has 7 minutes. She starts walking. Faster this time. Her heels click against the sidewalk like a countdown. She cuts through the plaza, past the fountain that's been dry since August, past the security guard who nods at her the same way every morning, past the revolving doors that lead to the elevator, that leads to the 14th floor, that leads to the desk where she'll sit for the next 10 hours, analyzing risk assessments and pretending her opinion matters. She makes it to her desk at 6:59. The meeting starts at 7. Nyasha opens her laptop, pulls up the files, straightens her papers. Her hands are steady. Her face is calm. No one can tell she gave away her jacket. No one asks why her arms are covered in goosebumps. No one notices. The meeting lasts 2 hours. Her boss, Derek, mid-50s, Yale MBA, zero self-awareness, spends 45 minutes explaining a problem Nyasha flagged 3 weeks ago. He uses her exact words. He doesn't credit her once. Nyasha says nothing. At 9:15, she goes to the bathroom. She locks herself in a stall. She sits down on the closed toilet seat and stares at the gray metal door. Her hands are shaking, not from cold, from something else. She takes 3 deep breaths, counts to 10, stands up, washes her hands, looks at herself in the mirror. The woman staring back is put together, professional, composed. The woman staring back is a liar. Nyasha dries her hands and goes back to her desk. The day drags, phone calls, spreadsheets, more meetings, lunch at her desk, salad from the place downstairs that charges $14 for lettuce and regret. At 3 p.m., she gets an email from HR, subject line, workplace conduct reminder. She opens it. The email is short, generic, a reminder that company property, including the plaza outside the building, is monitored by security cameras. A reminder that solicitation of any kind is prohibited. A reminder that employees are expected to maintain professional boundaries. There's no name mentioned. There doesn't need to be. Nyasha closes the email. Her jaw tightens. She looks out her window. From the 14th floor, she can't see Harrison Street. She can't see the wall. She can't see Walter. But she knows he's there. Or she hopes he is. At 5:30, she packs up her things. She takes the elevator down. She walks through the lobby. She pushes through the revolving doors. The air is colder than this morning. The sun is already starting to set. October in Chicago doesn't ease into darkness. It drops like a curtain. Nyasha turns toward Harrison Street. Her phone buzzes again. Text from her sister. "Dinner Sunday? Mama's asking." She types back, "Maybe." She keeps walking. The street is quieter now. Rush hour hasn't hit yet. The diner's closed. The fountain is still dry. The pigeons are gone. Nyasha rounds the corner. The wall comes into view. Walter is there. He's sitting in his usual spot. Her jacket is draped over his shoulders. The coffee cup is empty beside him. The oatmeal container is gone. Nyasha stops walking. Relief hits her so hard she has to close her eyes. When she opens them, Walter is looking at her. He doesn't smile. He doesn't wave. He just nods. One small dip of his chin. Nyasha nods back. She doesn't approach him. She doesn't need to. The contract between them doesn't require words. It requires presence, consistency, the refusal to look away. She stands there for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, long enough for Walter to know she came back, long enough for her to know he's still here. Then she turns and walks home. Her apartment is 12 blocks away. Small, one bedroom, too expensive for what it is, but it's hers. The door locks, the heat works, the water is hot. Nyasha makes tea. She sits on her couch. She turns on the TV but doesn't watch it. She thinks about blue lips and shaking hands. She thinks about the way Walter said, "Thank you, ma'am," like he was accepting something sacred instead of a jacket. She thinks about her father. That night, Nyasha dreams. In the dream, she's 8 years old. Her father is in his army uniform, the green one with the patches she used to trace with her fingers while he told her stories. He's standing in the kitchen of their old house, the one they lost when she was 12, the one with the yellow wallpaper and the back door that stuck. He's folding his uniform over and over. The creases are perfect, military sharp, the kind of precision that becomes muscle memory. "Daddy," she says in the dream, "why do you keep folding it?" He doesn't look at her. He keeps folding. "Because if I stop," he says, "I'll forget I was ever anything else." Nyasha wakes up at 2 a.m. Her face is wet. She hasn't thought about that uniform in years. She hasn't thought about the way her father used to fold it every night, even after he got laid off from the factory, even after the bank took the house, even after he stopped being able to look at himself in the mirror. She hasn't thought about the way he died, quietly at 53, heart attack in a motel room while her mother was at work, wearing that uniform. Nyasha sits up. She wipes her eyes. She goes to the kitchen. She drinks water straight from the tap. When she goes back to bed, she doesn't sleep. She stares at the ceiling and thinks about men who disappear while everyone watches. The alarm goes off at 5:30 a.m. Nyasha gets up. She showers. She makes oatmeal, brown sugar, extra cinnamon. She pours coffee into a thermos. She puts on a red pantsuit, different from yesterday's. Same color, same statement. "I'm here. I exist. You will not ignore me." At 6:35 a.m., she leaves her apartment. At 6:40 a.m., she turns onto Harrison Street. The wall comes into view, and Nyasha stops breathing, because Walter isn't alone. Would you keep feeding him, knowing someone was watching? Walter stands when he sees her. Not fast, not with any particular urgency, but he stands. His knees crack loud enough that Nyasha hears it from 15 feet away. He holds on to the wall for balance. His hands are still shaking, but he stands. That's when Nyasha notices the second thing wrong. His cup isn't in front of him. It's tucked behind his leg, hidden, like he's trying to make himself smaller, less visible, less of a problem. She looks at his face. There's a bruise on his cheekbone that wasn't there yesterday, fresh, purple at the edges. Nyasha's grip tightens on the container. She walks forward, slower than usual. Something in the air feels wrong. The street is too quiet. The morning light is too sharp. "Walter," he nods, doesn't speak. Nyasha hands him the container and thermos. He takes them with both hands. Always both hands, like the gesture matters more than the meal. "What happened to your face?" Walter touches the bruise without thinking, then drops his hand like he's been caught. "Nothing." "That's not nothing. It's handled." His voice is flat, final, the same tone he uses when she asks about his past, the same tone that says, "This door's closed." Nyasha wants to push. She wants to know who hit him and why and whether they're coming back. She wants to know if this is about the jacket or the coffee or the fact that someone finally noticed he exists. But she doesn't ask, because Walter folds his napkin. He does it without thinking, takes the paper napkin from the container, unfolds it, smooths it against his knee, and folds it again. Perfectly. Edges aligned. Creases sharp. Military precision. Nyasha watches his hands. They shake through the whole process, but the folds are perfect anyway. "You served," she says. It's not a question this time. Walter's hands stop moving. He looks up at her. His eyes are gray, tired, old in a way that has nothing to do with years. "Long time ago." "How long?" He hesitates, then, "Vietnam." The word sits between them like a stone. Nyasha does the math in her head. Vietnam ended in 75. That makes Walter at least 70. Maybe older. Too old to be sleeping against walls. Too old to have bruises on his face from fights he won't talk about. "Thank you for your service," she says. It's automatic. What you're supposed to say. What people always say. Walter's jaw tightens. "Don't." The word comes out harder than she expected. "Don't thank me," he says. "You don't know what I did." Nyasha blinks. The container is still in his hands, but he's not looking at it anymore. He's looking past her, through her, at something she can't see. "I'm sorry," she says. "I didn't mean." "I know." His voice softens. "I know what you meant. Just don't." Silence falls. Not comfortable, not uncomfortable, just silence. The kind that exists when two people are trying to figure out what truth sounds like. A car honks 3 blocks away. A siren wails in the distance. The wind picks up, carrying the smell of garbage and exhaust and something sweet from the bakery on State Street. Walter opens the container. Steam rises. He breathes it in like it's medicine. "My father served," Nyasha says. She doesn't plan to say it. The words just come out. Walter looks at her, waits. "Army, stationed in Germany, came home in 82. She pauses. "Died in 09. "I'm sorry." He never talked about it either. The service, what he did, where he went. Nyasha crosses her arms. He just folded his uniform, every night, even after he stopped wearing it. Walter nods slowly, like he understands something she hasn't said out loud. "Routines keep the chaos out," he says. "That's what my mother used to say." "Your mother was right." They stand there. Two people who understand what it means to hold on to patterns when everything else is falling apart. Nyasha checks her watch. 6:53. She has 7 minutes. "I have to go." Walter nods. "Go." She turns to leave, makes it 2 steps. "Ma'am?" She stops, looks back. Walter is watching her with an expression she can't read, something between gratitude and warning. "You should stop coming here," he says. The words hit her like cold water. "Why?" "Because someone's watching, and they don't like it." Nyasha's stomach drops. "Who?" Walter doesn't answer. He just looks across the street, toward the building with the red awning, the management office. Nyasha follows his gaze. There's a man standing in the window, arms crossed, watching them. "Who is that?" she asks. "Building manager, Calvin Roque." Walter picks up the thermos. "He's been trying to get me removed for months. You feeding me gives him ammunition." "Ammunition for what?" "Proof I'm a public disturbance. Proof I'm soliciting. Proof I don't belong." Walter's voice stays level, controlled, but there's an edge underneath. "He filed a complaint yesterday, said I'm scaring tenants." Nyasha looks at Walter, white-haired, 70-something, bruised, shaking hands gripping a thermos like it's a lifeline. "You're not scaring anyone. Doesn't matter what's true. Matters what he can prove. Then I'll keep coming. Let him prove it." Walter shakes his head. "You don't understand. Men like him don't need proof. They just need a reason. And you're giving him one. So what? I'm supposed to walk past you? Pretend you don't exist?" "Yes." The word lands heavy, final. Nyasha's throat tightens. "I can't do that." "You can. You did it before." That was different. Why? Because I see you now, she wants to say. Because looking away feels like betrayal. Because my father died invisible, and I can't let that happen to someone else. But she doesn't say any of that. She just shakes her head. I'll see you tomorrow, she says. Walter opens his mouth like he wants to argue, then closes it. He knows she's not going to change her mind. Nyasha walks away. She doesn't look at the window where Calvin Roque is standing. She doesn't look back at Walter. She keeps her eyes forward and her spine straight, but she feels the weight of being watched. The day passes the way days always pass. Meetings, emails, spreadsheets, Derek taking credit for her work, HR reminding everyone about professionalism. Lunch at her desk. At 2 p.m., her phone rings. Unknown number. Nyasha hesitates, then answers. Hello? Ms. Cole? A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. Yes? This is Sandra Pruitt from Chicago Streets and Sanitation. I'm calling regarding a complaint filed this morning about unauthorized food distribution on Harrison Street. Nyasha's blood runs cold. Excuse me? There's been a report that you've been providing meals to an individual experiencing homelessness in violation of City Ordinance 10-8-320, which prohibits food sharing in public spaces without a permit. I didn't know I needed a permit to give someone food. The ordinance exists to protect public health and safety. We're not issuing a citation at this time, but we wanted to make you aware that continued violations could result in fines up to $500. Nyasha grips the phone. Who filed the complaint? I'm not at liberty to disclose that information, but Nyasha already knows. She thanks the woman, hangs up, sits at her desk staring at her computer screen without seeing it. $500, not enough to stop her, but enough to send a message. You're being watched. You're being documented. You're one step away from consequences. Nyasha closes her eyes, takes 3 breaths, opens them. She gets back to work. At 5:30 p.m., she leaves the office. She walks toward Harrison Street. The sun is setting earlier now. October is giving way to November. The cold is sharper, more insistent. She turns the corner. Walter is there. Same spot, same wall. But something is different. His things are packed. The blanket is rolled. The cup is tucked into a plastic bag. Everything is organized like he's preparing to move. Nyasha stops. Her chest tightens. Walter? He looks up. His face is carefully neutral. They came by today, he says. City workers. Told me I have 48 hours to relocate, or they'll cite me for loitering. Because of me? Because of him. Walter nods toward the building with the red awning. You're just the excuse. Nyasha's hands curl into fists. Anger rises in her throat. Hot, sharp. Where will you go? Walter shrugs. Somewhere else. There's always somewhere else. That's not fair. Fair doesn't exist. It should. Walter looks at her for a long moment. Then he stands up. Slower than this morning. His knees crack again. He steadies himself against the wall. You're a good person, he says, but good people can't fix broken systems. They just get broken trying. So I should stop. I'm saying you should be careful. Walter picks up his bag. Men like Calvin Roque don't stop at complaints. They escalate, and you're in his crosshairs now. Let him escalate. You say that now, but you have a job, a life, things to lose. Walter's voice is gentle, too gentle. I don't. That's the difference. Nyasha wants to argue. She wants to tell him that her job doesn't matter, that nothing matters except doing the right thing, that she won't let Calvin Roque or anyone else bully her into silence. But the words stick in her throat, because Walter is right. She does have things to lose. Where will you be tomorrow? She asks. Walter looks at the wall, the place he sat every morning for months, maybe years. I don't know yet. Then how will I find you? You won't. That's the point. Nyasha's breath catches. Walter, it's okay. He adjusts the bag on his shoulder. You did more than most, more than you should have. I'm grateful. Don't say goodbye. I'm not. Walter meets her eyes. I'm saying thank you. He turns and starts walking. North, toward the train station. His boots scrape against concrete. His shoulders are hunched against the wind. Nyasha stands frozen, watching him go, every instinct screaming at her to follow, to stop him, to do something. But she doesn't move. She watches Walter disappear around the corner, and the wall is empty again. Nyasha stands there until the streetlights flicker on, until her fingers go numb, until the cold seeps through her clothes and settles in her bones. Then she walks home. That night she doesn't dream. She doesn't sleep. She lies awake staring at the ceiling, thinking about men who disappear and systems that erase them and the difference between kindness and cowardice. At 5:30 a.m., her alarm goes off. Nyasha gets up. She makes oatmeal anyway, pours coffee into the thermos, puts on her red pantsuit. At 6:40 a.m., she'll start Senator. She walks to Harrison Street. The wall is empty. She stands there with the container in her hands. Steam rises in the cold air. No one is there to receive it. Nyasha sets the container down against the wall. She sets the thermos beside it. Then she pulls out her phone. She types a text to her sister. Can't make dinner Sunday. Something came up. She deletes it. She opens her email, finds the message from HR about workplace conduct, hits reply, types, received, understood. She deletes that too. Instead, she opens her browser, searches. Chicago homeless shelters, Harrison Street. 12 results. She starts calling. Hi, I'm looking for someone. White male, 70s veteran, goes by Walter Grayson. First shelter, no one by that name. Second shelter, no one by that name. Third shelter, no comment on specific residents. Fourth shelter, we don't give out that kind of information. By the 7th call, Nyasha's voice is shaking. By the 10th, she's crying. She hangs up, sits on the curb, stares at the empty wall. Her phone buzzes. Text from Derek. Where are you? Meeting started 5 minutes ago. Nyasha looks at the message, looks at the wall, looks at the container of oatmeal that's getting cold. She types back, emergency, be there soon. She doesn't move. She sits on the curb and watches the city wake up around her. Cars, buses, people rushing past without seeing her, without seeing the wall, without seeing the space where a man used to sit. At 7:15 a.m., Nyasha stands up. She picks up the container, picks up the thermos. She walks to work. She's 30 minutes late. Derek is furious. HR sends another email. Her coworkers whisper. Nyasha doesn't care. She sits at her desk and stares at spreadsheets and thinks about the difference between visibility and witness. At lunch, she doesn't eat. She walks back to Harrison Street. The wall is still empty. At 5:30 p.m., she walks back again. Still empty. For 3 days, Nyasha walks to that wall. Morning and evening. She brings food she doesn't leave. Coffee she doesn't drink. Walter doesn't come back. On the 4th day, something changes. Nyasha turns the corner at 6:40 a.m. and sees someone sitting at the wall. Her heart leaps. But it's not Walter. It's a younger man, maybe 30, Hispanic, clean jacket, no trembling hands. He looks up when she approaches. You looking for the old guy? He asks. Nyasha's throat closes. Yes. Cops picked him up 3 nights ago. Took him to county. County? Why? The man shrugs. Loitering. Trespassing. Same reason they always pick us up. He looks at the container in her hands. That for him? Nyasha nods. He talked about you, the man says. Said you were kind. Said you didn't look away. Something breaks inside Nyasha's chest. Where is he now? Released yesterday. Haven't seen him since. Did he say where he was going? Nah, but guys like Walter don't stay in one place long after the cops get involved. Too risky. Nyasha stands there, container in hand, hope draining out of her like water through a sieve. If you see him, she says, tell him I'm still coming, every morning. Tell him I'm not looking away. The man nods. I'll tell him. Nyasha walks to work. She doesn't cry, she doesn't break. She goes through the motions. Meeting, email, spreadsheet, lunch at her desk. At 3 p.m., her phone rings. Unknown number again, she answers. Ms. Cole? Yes? This is Officer Brendan Mitchell with Chicago PD. I'm calling about a Walter Grayson. You know him? Nyasha's hand starts shaking. Yes. Is he okay? He's fine, but we need to ask you some questions. Why would the police need to question her about helping a homeless veteran? The police station smells like burnt coffee and floor cleaner that doesn't work. Nyasha sits in a hard plastic chair across from Officer Mitchell. White, mid-40s, wedding ring, tired eyes. His partner, Officer Reyes, Latina, younger, sharper, leans against the wall with her arms crossed. Nyasha's hands are folded in her lap. Her red pantsuit is creased from sitting. Her posture is perfect. Her face shows nothing. But inside, her heart is hammering. Ms. Cole, Mitchell says, pulling out a notepad. How long have you known Walter Grayson? 4 months, maybe 5. And how did you meet him? I didn't meet him. I saw him on Harrison Street every morning. And you started feeding him. It's not a question. Yes. Why? Nyasha looks at Mitchell, then at Reyes. Both of them are watching her like she's a puzzle they're trying to solve. Because he was hungry, she says. Mitchell writes something down. Did Mr. Grayson ever ask you for money? No. Did he ever ask you for anything besides food? No. Did he ever make you feel uncomfortable? Threaten you? Follow you? No. Nyasha's voice sharpens. Walter never did anything except sit on a sidewalk. Is that illegal now? Reyes pushes off the wall. We're not saying it is. We're trying to understand the nature of your relationship. There is no relationship. I gave him food, that's it. Every day for 4 months, Mitchell says. That's more than charity, that's commitment. Nyasha's jaw tightens. Is there a limit? Am I only allowed to be charitable 3 times a week? Mitchell doesn't smile. We're not accusing you of anything, Ms. Cole. We're following up on a complaint. From Calvin Roque. Silence. Mitchell and Reyes exchange a glance. We can't disclose who filed the complaint, Reyes says. You don't have to. I already know. Mitchell leans back. What can you tell us about Mr. Grayson's background? Not much. He's a veteran. Vietnam. He doesn't talk about his past. Did he ever mention family? Friends? Where he's from? No. Did he ever show you identification, discharge papers, anything that confirmed his military service? Nyasha hesitates. No, but I believed him. Why? Because of the way he carries himself, the way he folds napkins, the way he stands when police officers walk by. She looks directly at Mitchell. You can't fake that kind of training. Mitchell writes more notes. Reyes moves closer, her voice softer now. Ms. Cole, we're not trying to make this difficult, but there's been an accusation. What accusation? That Mr. Grayson has been falsely representing himself as a veteran in order to solicit donations. The words hit like a slap. That's not true. How do you know? Because I know. Nyasha's voice rises. I've seen enough veterans to recognize one. Your father, Reyes says. Nyasha freezes. How do you know about my father? We do our homework. Reyes's voice is still soft, still careful. Army, right? Died in 2009? Nyasha's hands curl into fists. Don't? Don't what? Don't use my father to make me doubt Walter. We're not trying to. Yes, you are. Nyasha stands up. Her chair scrapes against linoleum. You're trying to make me think Walter is lying. You're trying to make me feel stupid for helping him. But I'm not stupid, and Walter isn't a liar. Mitchell holds up a hand. Ms. Cole, sit down. Am I under arrest? No. Then I can leave. You can, Reyes says. But don't you want to know the truth? Nyasha stops halfway to the door, turns around. What truth? Mitchell opens a folder, pulls out a sheet of paper. We ran Walter Grayson's name through the VA database. No record of service. The floor tilts. That's impossible, Nyasha says. We also checked Social Security records. There are 3 Walter Graysons in Illinois. 2 are deceased. 1 is 47 and living in Springfield. Then you checked the wrong database. We checked multiple databases, military records, census data, criminal history. Mitchell slides the paper across the desk. We can't find any evidence that the man you've been feeding actually exists. Nyasha stares at the paper. Her vision blurs. Her throat closes. He exists, she whispers. I see him every day. We're not saying he's not real, Reyes says gently. We're saying he might not be who he claims to be. He never claimed anything. I asked. He answered. What exactly did he say? Nyasha tries to remember. The conversation was weeks ago. Early morning. Cold. His hands were shaking worse than usual. He said he served. Long time ago. Vietnam. Did he say what unit? What years? Where he was stationed? No, he didn't want to talk about it. Mitchell and Reyes exchange another look. Ms. Cole, Mitchell says slowly, we've seen this before. People who claim military service to gain sympathy. It's more common than you think. Walter wouldn't do that. How do you know? Because Nyasha stops. Because why? Because he folds napkins? Because he stands when cops pass? Because he has the same tired eyes her father had? None of that proves anything. I just know, she finishes weakly. Reyes pulls up a chair, sits down across from Nyasha. Listen, she says, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying be careful. There are people who exploit kindness, who see someone like you, someone with a good heart, and take advantage. Walter never took advantage. He never asked for anything. That's part of the strategy. Make you think it's your idea, make you feel responsible. Nyasha shakes her head. No, that's not what this is. Then what is it? The question hangs in the air. Nyasha doesn't have an answer. She sits back down, stares at her hands. They're shaking. Can I see him? She asks. He was released yesterday, Mitchell says. We don't know where he is. But you said, we said we can't find records. That doesn't mean we're holding him. Mitchell closes the folder. We had to let him go. No evidence of a crime. Because he didn't commit one. Or because he's good at not getting caught. Nyasha stands up again. This time she doesn't hesitate. I'm leaving. Ms. Cole, thank you for your time, Officer Mitchell. Her voice is ice. If you find Walter, tell him I'm still coming. Every morning, 6:40. She walks out before they can stop her. The cold air outside hits like a wall. Nyasha stands on the station steps, breathing hard. Her vision is swimming. Her chest is tight. She pulls out her phone, checks the time. 4:47 p.m. She should go back to work. She should call Derek and apologize for leaving early. She should send an email to HR explaining the emergency. Instead, she calls her sister. Tanika answers on the second ring. Hey, you okay? Can I come over? Right now? Yeah. Pause. What's wrong? I'll explain when I get there. 20 minutes later, Nyasha is sitting on Tanika's couch in a Southside apartment that smells like jerk chicken and fabric softener. Tanika, 2 years younger, 3 inches shorter, same tight braids, hands her tea. Talk. Nyasha talks. She tells her everything. Walter, the meals, the wall, Calvin Roque, the police, the missing records. Tanika listens without interrupting. When Nyasha finishes, she's quiet for a long time. You think he's lying? Tanika finally asks. I don't know. But you think it's possible? Nyasha closes her eyes. I don't want to. That's not what I asked. Yes, I think it's possible. Saying it out loud makes it real. Tanika sips her tea. What does Mama think? I haven't told Mama. Why not? Because she'll tell me to stop. She'll say I'm being naive. She'll say I'm putting myself at risk for someone I don't know. She's not wrong. I know. But you're not going to stop. No. Tanika shakes her head. You're just like Daddy. The words hit harder than they should. What do you mean? Daddy used to do this. Bring home strays. People he met at the bus stop or the grocery store. He'd give them rides, buy them meals, loan them money we didn't have. Tanika's voice is gentle but firm. And Mama would yell at him, tell him he couldn't save everyone, tell him he was going to get hurt. And what did he say? He said, if I don't try, who will? Nyasha's throat closes. Do you remember the last guy? Tanika asks. The one Daddy helped before he died? Nyasha shakes her head. Marcus, 50-something, said he was a vet too. Said he just needed a place to stay for a few nights. Tanika sets down her tea. Daddy let him sleep on our couch, fed him, helped him look for jobs, and then Marcus disappeared, took Daddy's wallet, took Mama's jewelry, took the rent money from the drawer in the kitchen. Nyasha's stomach drops. I don't remember that. You were in college. Daddy never told you. He was too ashamed. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't want the same thing to happen to you. Tanika reaches over and takes Nyasha's hand. I'm not saying Walter is lying. I'm saying you need to protect yourself. You need to be smart. I am being smart. Are you? Or are you trying to save Daddy through someone else? The words slice clean through. Nyasha pulls her hand away. That's not fair. Maybe not, but it's true. They sit in silence. The TV plays in the background. Some reality show Nyasha doesn't recognize. Outside, a car alarm goes off. A dog barks. I miss him, Nyasha says quietly. I know. I miss the way he used to fold his uniform, the way he'd wake up early just to watch the sunrise, the way he believed people could change if you gave them a chance. He was a good man, Tanika says, but he was also wrong sometimes. People don't always change. Sometimes they just take. Walter isn't taking. Yet. The word hangs there. Nyasha finishes her tea, stands up. I should go. Nyasha? Thank you for the tea. She leaves before Tanika can argue. The walk home is long, cold. Nyasha's mind won't stop spinning. What if the police are right? What if Walter lied? What if she's been feeding someone who doesn't deserve it? What if her father's kindness was just naivety with a prettier name? But then she thinks about Walter's hands, the way they shake, the way he folds napkins with military precision, the way he stands when cops pass. You can't fake that. Can you? By the time Nyasha reaches her apartment, it's dark. She climbs the stairs, unlocks her door, drops her bag. She goes to her bedroom, opens the closet, reaches for the box on the top shelf. Inside is her father's uniform. She hasn't touched it in years. Her mother gave it to her after he died. Said she couldn't bear to look at it anymore. Nyasha pulls it out. The fabric is stiff, faded, smells like mothballs and memory. She unfolds it, runs her fingers over the patches. The creases are still there. Sharp, perfect, even after all these years. She refolds it, exactly the way her father taught her. Edges aligned, corners tucked. Then she sits on her bed and cries. The next morning, Nyasha wakes up at 5:30 a.m. She makes oatmeal, pours coffee, puts on her red pantsuit. At 6:40 a.m., she walks to Harrison Street. The wall is empty. She sets down the container anyway, sets down the thermos. She stands there for 5 minutes, 10, 15. Walter doesn't come. At 6:55 a.m., she turns to leave. That's when she sees it, a piece of paper tucked under the thermos lid. Nyasha's hands shake as she picks it up. The handwriting is shaky but legible. Stop coming. It's not safe. Trust me, no signature. But she knows Walter's handwriting. She's seen it on the napkins he folds, the way he writes his initials in the corner when he's thinking. Nyasha reads the note 3 times. Then she looks across the street. Calvin Roque is standing in the window again, watching. This time he's not alone. There's someone with him, a man in a suit. They're talking, pointing toward the wall, toward her. Nyasha folds the note, puts it in her pocket. She picks up the container and thermos, and she walks away. But she doesn't go to work. She goes to the library. For the next 4 hours, Nyasha sits at a computer terminal searching. Military databases, VA records, obituaries, census data. She types in every variation of Walter Grayson she can think of. Walter Grayson, Vietnam veteran. Walter Grayson, Chicago homeless. Walter Grayson, Army discharge. Nothing. 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 At 11 a.m., she changes tactics. She searches for Calvin Roque, and she finds something. An article from 2018, Chicago Tribune. Building manager accused of harassment. The article is short. Calvin Roque, manager of a residential building on Harrison Street, was accused by multiple tenants of discriminatory practices. The case was settled out of court. Nyasha keeps digging. Another article. 2020. Lawsuit alleges unlawful eviction. Calvin Roque again. This time a family claimed he falsified complaints to force them out. The case was dismissed. Insufficient evidence. Nyasha sits back, stares at the screen. Calvin Roque has a pattern. He targets people, documents them, builds cases against them, and he wins. Nyasha closes the browser, walks out of the library. She goes back to Harrison Street. It's noon. The street is busy, people rushing to lunch, cars honking, the world moving forward like nothing matters. Nyasha stands at the wall, looks at the empty space where Walter used to sit. She pulls out her phone, dials the number for Officer Mitchell. Mitchell, This is Nyasha Cole. I need to report a harassment case. Against who? Calvin Roque. Silence. Ms. Cole, we've already investigated. Then investigate again. He's been targeting Walter, filing false complaints, trying to get him removed. That's not illegal. It is if he's lying. Do you have proof? Nyasha's hand tightens on the phone. Not yet, but I will. She hangs up. She stands at the wall for another 10 minutes. Then she sees him, Walter, 2 blocks away, walking fast, looking over his shoulder. Nyasha's breath catches. She starts moving. Her heels click against concrete. She's half running. Walter! He stops, turns. His face goes pale when he sees her. I told you to stop coming. I can't. You have to. Why? What's happening? Walter looks around. His hands are shaking worse than ever. They're watching me, following me. I don't know who they are, but they're not cops. Who then? I don't know, but they know my name. They know about you. His voice cracks. You need to stay away from me. I'm not leaving you. You don't have a choice. Yes, I do, and I choose to stay. Walter's eyes fill with something that looks like grief. You don't understand, he says. This isn't about kindness anymore. This is about something bigger, something I buried a long time ago. Then tell me. I can't. Why not? Walter reaches into his coat, pulls out a weathered envelope, brown, stained, sealed with tape that's yellowed with age. Because if I tell you, he says, you'll be in danger too. What's inside the envelope that could put Nyasha in danger? The envelope sits between them like a bomb. Walter's hands shake as he holds it, not from cold this time, from something else. Something that looks like fear. Nyasha stares at the envelope. It's small, maybe 6 by 9 inches. The paper's brittle. The tape is cracked at the edges. There's no writing on the outside. No return address. No postmark. What is that? She asks. Walter doesn't answer right away. He's looking past her, scanning the street. His jaw is clenched so tight she can see the muscles jumping. Walter. He focuses on her. Something I should have opened 30 years ago. Why didn't you? Because I was scared. And I'm still scared. He shoves the envelope back inside his coat. But now they know I have it, which means they know you're connected to me. Who's they? I don't know. But they've been watching, following, asking questions. Walter steps closer. His voice drops. 2 days ago, a man approached me at the shelter, said he was from the VA, asked if I needed help with my benefits. That sounds normal. It wasn't normal. He knew things. Details I never told anyone. Where I was stationed. What unit. What happened. Walter's voice cracks. He knew about the envelope. Nyasha's chest tightens. How? I don't know. But he said if I opened it, people would get hurt. He said the best thing I could do was forget it exists. Did you report him? Walter laughs. It's a bitter sound. Report him to who? The same police who can't find my service records? The same VA that claims I don't exist? The police told me they couldn't find you in the system. I know, because I was erased. The word hangs in the air. Nyasha's pulse quickens. What do you mean erased? I mean exactly what I said. My records were wiped. My discharge papers disappeared. My entire service history, gone. Walter's eyes are hard now, focused. I spent 2 years in Vietnam doing things that don't exist on paper. And when I came home, they made sure I couldn't prove I was ever there. Why would they do that? Because what I saw wasn't supposed to be seen. What I did wasn't supposed to be done. He touches his coat where the envelope is hidden. And this is proof. Nyasha's mind races. Proof of what? Walter opens his mouth, closes it, looks around again. Not here, he says. Not now. Then when? Never. That's the point. You need to forget about me. Forget about this. Go back to your life. I can't. Yes, you can. You walk away. You stop bringing food. You tell the police I'm a liar. You tell Calvin Roque he was right, and you move on. I won't do that. You have to. Why? Because you're scared? Nyasha steps closer. I'm scared too, but I'm not running. You should be. Maybe, but I'm not. Walter stares at her. Something in his face shifts. The hard edges soften just slightly. "You're like her," he says quietly. "Like who?" "My daughter." The words hit like cold water. Nyasha blinks. "You have a daughter?" "Had. I don't know if she's still alive. Haven't seen her in 20 years. Walter's voice is barely above a whisper. "She was stubborn too. Refused to give up on me even when I gave up on myself." "What happened?" "I disappeared. After my records got wiped. After I realized no one was going to help me. I just left. Figured she was better off without me." "You don't know that." "I do, because I know what I became. And no one deserves to watch that." Silence falls between them. The street noise fades into background static. A bus passes. A horn honks. Somewhere nearby, a woman is yelling at someone in Spanish. Nyasha's throat is tight. "What's her name?" "Janine." Walter's voice breaks on the name. "Janine Marie Grayson. She'd be 43 now. Lives somewhere in Wisconsin last I heard. Married. Kids. A whole life I'm not part of." "Maybe she'd want to see you." "She wouldn't." "How do you know?" "Because I wouldn't want to see me either." The words land heavy. Final. Nyasha wants to argue. She wants to tell Walter he's wrong. That family matters. That love doesn't evaporate just because someone makes mistakes. But she thinks about her own father. The way he disappeared into himself long before he died. The way Nyasha and Tanika watched him fold that uniform every night like a ritual that might bring him back to life. Maybe some people are too broken to fix. "The envelope," Nyasha says. "Does it have anything to do with why your records disappeared?" Walter nods. "Then open it. Let's find out what's inside." "You don't understand what you're asking." "Then help me understand." Walter looks at her for a long moment. Then he reaches into his coat again, pulls out the envelope. He doesn't hand it to her. He just holds it. "There was a mission," he says slowly. 1972. Cambodia. Classified. We weren't supposed to be there. According to the paperwork, we never were." "What kind of mission?" "Retrieval. There was a pilot, Captain someone, I don't remember his name, who went down in enemy territory. We were sent to get him out." "Did you?" "No, because when we got there, the pilot was already dead. But we found something else." "What?" Walter's hands tighten on the envelope. "Documents, files, proof that the U.S. was running operations we weren't supposed to be running. Funding groups we weren't supposed to be funding. Killing people we weren't supposed to be killing." Nyasha's pulse quickens. "What did you do?" "I took them. Stupid, reckless, naive 22-year-old kid that I was, I took them. Figured someone should know the truth." Walter laughs bitterly. "And then I got back to base and realized the truth was the last thing anyone wanted." "What happened?" "They debriefed us. Told us the mission never happened. Told us we were never in Cambodia. Told us if we talked about it, we'd be court-martialed for treason." Walter's voice is flat now, mechanical. "Most of the guys accepted it, moved on, but I kept a copy of the documents, just in case." He holds up the envelope. "This is that copy." Nyasha stares at the envelope. Her mind is spinning. "You've been carrying classified documents for 50 years? "Not carrying, hiding. I buried this envelope in 6 different places before I ended up on Harrison Street. And every time I moved it, someone found me. Asked questions, made threats." "Who?" "I don't know. Government, military, someone who wants this gone." Walter's eyes meet hers. "And now they know you're involved." Nyasha's stomach drops. "How?" "Because you're the only person who's shown me kindness in years. Because you're consistent. Because you're visible." Walter's voice hardens. "Which makes you a target." "For what?" "For leverage. If they can't get to me directly, they'll go through you." Nyasha's hands curl into fists. "Let them try." "You don't mean that." "Yes, I do." Walter shakes his head. "You have no idea what you're up against. Then tell me. Stop protecting me and tell me the truth. The truth is you need to walk away. And if I don't, then you'll end up like me, erased, invisible, living on sidewalks because you know too much to be allowed a normal life." The words hit like a punch. Nyasha steps back. Her breath comes faster. She thinks about her apartment, her job, her sister, her mother, everything she's built, Everything she could lose. I need to go, she says. Walter nods. Relief flashes across his face. Good, go. Forget this conversation. Nyasha turns, takes 3 steps, stops. She thinks about her father's uniform, the way he folded it every night, the way he stood a little straighter when he wore it, the way he believed in service even after service abandoned him. She thinks about Walter sitting against that wall every morning, invisible, erased. She thinks about what her father would do. Nyasha turns back around. I'm not leaving, she says. Walter's face falls. Nyasha, I'm not leaving. Whatever's in that envelope, whatever they're threatening you with, I'm not walking away. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Walter stares at her. Then he does something unexpected. He laughs. Not bitter this time. Real, genuine. God, you really are like Janine, he says. Is that a good thing? I don't know yet. He tucks the envelope back into his coat, looks around one more time. If we're going to do this, we need to be smart. No more meetings on Harrison Street. Calvin Roque is documenting everything. Where then? There's a diner on Ashland. Rosie's. Meet me there tomorrow morning. 6:30. I'll be there. Come alone. Don't tell anyone. Not your sister, not your friends, no one. Okay? Walter starts to walk away, then stops, looks back. Thank you, he says. For what? For being stubborn. He disappears into the crowd before she can respond. Nyasha stands there for a long time. People flow around her like water around a stone. The city moves, the world turns, nothing stops. But something has changed. She can feel it in her chest, in her bones. She's crossed a line she can't uncross. Nyasha walks back to her office. She's 3 hours late. Derek is furious. HR sends another email. This one has the word disciplinary in the subject line. She doesn't care. She sits at her desk and pretends to work. But her mind is elsewhere. She's thinking about envelopes and secrets and men who get erased for knowing too much. She's thinking about her father. At 4 p.m., her phone buzzes. Text from unknown number. Stop asking questions. This is your only warning. Nyasha's blood runs cold. She looks around the office. Everyone is working, typing, talking. No one is paying attention to her. She deletes the message. At 5:30 p.m., she leaves. She walks home. She locks her door. She checks every window. That night, she doesn't sleep. She lies in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about consequences and courage and the difference between martyrdom and stupidity. At 3 a.m., her phone buzzes again. Another text. Unknown number. Walter Grayson doesn't exist. Neither does his daughter. Walk away while you still can. Nyasha sits up. Her hands shake as she types back. Who is this? 3 dots appear, then disappear, then appear again. Someone who's trying to help you. How is threatening me helping? It's not a threat, it's a warning. The envelope Walter has is classified. Possessing it is a federal crime. Helping him is aiding a criminal. Nyasha's throat closes. He's not a criminal. He's a veteran. He's whatever the government says he is. And right now, he's a problem that needs to disappear. And if he doesn't, the response is immediate. Then so will you. The conversation ends. Nyasha stares at the screen. Her whole body is shaking now. She wants to call her sister. She wants to call the police. She wants to run, but she doesn't. She gets out of bed. She gets dressed. She packs a bag. And at 6 a.m., she leaves her apartment. She doesn't go to work. She goes to Rosie's diner on Ashland. Walter's already there, sitting in a corner booth, 2 cups of coffee on the table. Nyasha slides into the seat across from him. You got a text too, she says. It's not a question. Walter nods. 3 of them. What did they say? That I need to give up the envelope. That I need to stop dragging innocent people into this. That if I don't comply, they'll make sure I disappear permanently. Are you going to comply? Walter looks at her. His eyes are tired, old, haunted. No, he says. I'm done running. He pulls out the envelope, sets it on the table between them. Let's see what's worth dying for. What secrets has Walter been hiding for 50 years, and will opening that envelope destroy them both? Walter's hands hover over the envelope. He doesn't open it right away. He just stares at it like it might explode. Nyasha holds her breath. The diner is nearly empty. Just them, a waitress refilling coffee at the counter, and an old man reading a newspaper by the window. The morning light slants through the blinds, making stripes across the table. Last chance to walk away, Walter says. I'm not walking away. I need you to understand something. He still hasn't touched the envelope. Once we open this, there's no going back. You'll know things you can't unknow. You'll be complicit. I'm already complicit. Walter looks up. Not like this. Right now, you're just a woman who feeds a homeless man. Annoying to Calvin Roque, maybe, but not dangerous, not to them. Who is them? Whoever sent those texts, whoever erased my records, whoever's been watching us for weeks. Walter's jaw tightens. They're real, they're organized, and they don't leave loose ends. Nyasha leans forward. Then why haven't they just taken the envelope from you? Why the threats? Why the games? Because they don't know where it is. I've moved it 6 times in the last month. Different locations, different hiding spots. They know I have it. They don't know where. But you have it now. Because you're here. Because I decided it's time. Time for what? To stop hiding. Walter finally picks up the envelope. His hands are shaking, but his voice is steady. I've spent 50 years bearing the truth. Maybe it's time to dig it up. He breaks the seal. The tape cracks like breaking bones. Walter pulls out a stack of papers, yellowed, brittle, covered in typed text and handwritten notes. Some pages are stamped with red letters. Classified, top secret, eyes only. Nyasha's pulse quickens. Walter spreads the papers on the table. His fingers trace the text like he's reading Braille. 1972, he says quietly. Operation Dewdrop. That's what they called it. What was it? Officially? Nothing. It never happened. We were never in Cambodia. The mission never existed. Walter taps one of the documents. But unofficially, we were funding anti-communist militias, running weapons, conducting raids, all without congressional approval. Nyasha scans the papers. Most of it is military jargon she doesn't understand. Coordinates, unit designations, code names. But some parts are clear. Payment authorization, 2.3 million US dollars. Recipient, General Pho Sarath, Royal Cambodian Armed Forces. Purpose, covert operation support. They were paying a Cambodian general? Nyasha asks. Not just paying, arming, training. We were supposed to be pulling out of Southeast Asia. Instead, we were digging in deeper. Walter flips to another page. This one has photos clipped to it. Black and white. Grainy, men in uniforms, men in civilian clothes, bodies on the ground. Nyasha's stomach turns. What am I looking at? A massacre. Walter's voice is flat. Village about 40 kilometers from the border. 300 people, women, kids, elderly, all dead. Who did it? The militia we were funding, General Sarath's men. Walter's finger hovers over one of the photos. We gave them the guns, we gave them the intel, and when they slaughtered everyone in that village, we covered it up. Nyasha can't breathe. How do you know? Because I was there. Not during the massacre. After. We were sent to assess the situation, report back. Instead, we found this. He gestures to the papers. Documents linking the U.S. directly to the operation. Proof that we knew what Sarath was doing and funded him anyway. Why would we do that? Because he was anti-communist. Because he was willing to get his hands dirty. Because winning mattered more than how we won. Walter's eyes are dark, haunted. And because no one thought a 22-year-old grunt would be stupid enough to steal proof. Nyasha stares at the documents, at the photos, at the evidence of something so much bigger and darker than she imagined. Why did you take them? She asks. Because I thought someone should know. I thought if people saw what was really happening, they'd care. They'd demand answers. Walter laughs bitterly. I was naive. What happened when you got back? They debriefed us, told us the village was destroyed by enemy forces, told us the operation never happened, told us if we talked, we'd be charged with treason and espionage. Walter's hands clench. Most of the guys believed them, or pretended to, but I kept asking questions, kept pushing, and that's when things got bad. Bad how? They reassigned me, sent me to a base in Texas, isolated, no contact with my unit. Then they started the psychological evaluations, said I was suffering from combat stress, said I was delusional, said I needed help. Nyasha's chest tightens. Were you? No, I was angry. I was disillusioned. But I wasn't crazy. Walter's voice drops. But when you tell someone they're crazy enough times, they start to believe it. Is that when your records disappeared? 2 years later, 1974, I was honorably discharged, or at least I thought I was. They gave me papers, a ceremony, a handshake, and then I went home to Chicago. Walter stares at nothing. 3 months later, I tried to file for VA benefits. They told me there was no record of my service, no discharge papers, no proof I was ever in the military. How is that possible? Because they erased me, systematically, deliberately, every document, every file, every piece of evidence that Walter Grayson served his country, gone. His voice cracks. I spent years trying to prove it. Lawyers, senators, VA appeals. Nothing worked. Eventually I gave up, got a job, tried to move on. But you kept the documents. I kept the documents because I knew someday someone would ask the right questions. Someone would care enough to listen. Walter looks at her. I didn't think it would be you. Nyasha doesn't know what to say. Her mind is reeling. 50 years. Walter has been carrying this for 50 years. What happened to your daughter? She asks quietly. Walter flinches. I fell apart, lost my job, started drinking, couldn't hold it together. My wife left, took Janine with her, moved to Wisconsin, filed for divorce. Did you fight it? No, because she was right. I was a mess. I was dangerous, not violent, but unstable. Janine deserved better. So you disappeared. So I disappeared. Figured if I couldn't fix myself, I could at least stop dragging them down with me. Walter's eyes glisten. Haven't seen Janine since she was 23. She tried to find me once, hired a private investigator, but I stayed hidden, told myself it was for her own good. Was it? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe I was just a coward. The waitress approaches with a coffee pot. Refills? Walter shakes his head. Nyasha does the same. The waitress leaves. Nyasha looks at the documents spread across the table. Evidence, truth, a secret that could destroy reputations and upend narratives. What do you want to do with this? She asks. I don't know. Part of me wants to burn it. Forget it exists. Die without this weight on my chest. Walter's hands tremble. But part of me thinks those people in that village deserve to be remembered. They deserve to have their story told. Then tell it. How? Who's going to listen to a homeless man with no proof of service? Who's going to believe documents that have been hidden for 50 years? Journalists, historians, someone. And what about you? What happens when your name gets attached to this? Nyasha hesitates. She thinks about her job, her reputation, her safety. She thinks about the text messages, the warnings. She thinks about her father. I don't know, she admits, but I know walking away isn't an option. Walter studies her face. You really are like Janine. You keep saying that because it's true. She had the same look in her eyes, the same stubborn refusal to give up on lost causes. Walter's voice softens. She used to tell me I was worth saving, even when I didn't believe it. Maybe she was right. Maybe. Or maybe she wasted 20 years loving someone who couldn't love himself. Nyasha leans back. The booth is uncomfortable. The diner smells like grease and burnt toast. Outside, the city is waking up. Cars, buses, people rushing to lives that don't include conspiracies and classified documents. She should be at work. She should be at her desk answering emails and attending meetings and pretending her opinions matter. Instead, she's sitting in a diner with a man who might not exist, looking at evidence that might get them both killed. What if we contact Janine? Nyasha asks. Walter's face goes pale. No. Why not? Because I won't drag her into this. She's your daughter. She deserves to know you're alive. She deserves to live her life without this hanging over her. That's not your choice to make. Walter's eyes flash. Yes, it is. I'm her father. Protecting her is my job. Protecting her by disappearing? By letting her think you're dead? Nyasha's voice rises. That's not protection. That's cowardice. The words hang in the air. Walter stares at her. His jaw works. His hands clench. Then he stands up. We're done here. Walter, I said we're done. He grabs the documents, shoves them back into the envelope. His movements are jerky, angry. Nyasha stands too. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But you did, because you think you know what's best. You think you can fix this. Walter's voice is cold now, distant. But you can't. No one can. He turns to leave. Walter, wait. Go home, Nyasha. Go back to your life. Forget about me. Forget about this. I can't. You have to. He walks out. Nyasha stands frozen in the booth. Her heart is pounding. Her hands are shaking. The waitress appears. You okay, honey? Nyasha nods. Fine. Just fine. She pays the bill, leaves a tip, walks outside. The street is crowded. Morning rush. Nyasha scans the sidewalk, looking for Walter. He's already gone. She pulls out her phone, checks the time. 7:42 a.m. She's supposed to be at work. She's supposed to be in a meeting. She's supposed to be living a normal life. Instead, she's standing on Ashland Avenue trying to figure out how to save a man who doesn't want to be saved. Her phone buzzes. Text from Derek. Where are you? HR wants to talk. Nyasha stares at the message. Then she types back, emergency, be in later. She doesn't wait for a response. She starts walking. She doesn't know where she's going. She just walks, block after block. Her feet carry her through the city, past storefronts, past bus stops, past people who don't see her. At some point, she realizes she's walking toward Harrison Street, toward the wall. When she gets there, it's empty, just concrete and bricks in the cold morning air. Nyasha sits down, right where Walter used to sit. The concrete is cold, hard, uncomfortable. She sits there anyway, and for the first time in months, she understands what Walter's been doing. He's not sitting here because he has nowhere else to go. He's sitting here because it's the only place where he can be seen, even if no one's looking. Nyasha pulls out her phone, opens her browser, searches. Janine Grayson, Wisconsin. Dozens of results, Facebook profiles, LinkedIn accounts, public records. She clicks on the first one. Janine Marie Grayson, age 43, lives in Madison, Wisconsin, works as a school counselor. There's a photo, a woman with Walter's eyes, smiling, happy. Nyasha stares at the photo for a long time. Then she closes her browser. She stands up, brushes off her pants. She looks at the empty wall one more time. Then she turns and walks away. She doesn't go to work. She goes to the train station. She buys a ticket. And at 10:15 a.m., Nyasha Cole boards a train to Madison, Wisconsin. What will Nyasha do when she finds Walter's daughter? And will the truth destroy what's left of their family? The woman who opens the door has Walter's eyes. Nyasha sees it immediately. The same gray, the same weariness underneath, the same way they narrow slightly when assessing a stranger. Can I help you? Janine Grayson asks. She's shorter than Nyasha expected. Maybe 5'4". Her hair is natural, cut close to her scalp. She's wearing yoga pants and a Northwestern sweatshirt. There's a coffee mug in her hand with the words, World's Okayest Mom, printed on the side. Behind her, a house that looks lived in, comfortable, safe, everything Walter doesn't have. I'm looking for Janine Grayson, Nyasha says. You found her. Janine's eyes narrow further. Are you selling something? Because I'm not interested. I'm not selling anything. My name is Nyasha Cole. I'm from Chicago. I know your father. The coffee mug stops halfway to Janine's mouth. My father is dead. No, he's not. The words hang between them. Janine's face goes blank. Not surprised. Not hopeful. Just blank. Like she's heard this before and doesn't believe it anymore. Lady, I don't know what you think you know, but... His name is Walter Grayson. He's 74. He served in Vietnam. He has a scar on his left hand from a shrapnel wound. He folds napkins with military precision, and he's been living on Harrison Street in Chicago for the past 18 months. Janine's hand starts shaking. Coffee sloshes over the rim of the mug. Who are you? Someone who's been feeding him breakfast every morning for 4 months. Janine stares at her. Then she steps back from the door. Come in. The house is exactly what Nyasha imagined. Family photos on the walls, kids' drawings on the fridge, a basket of laundry on the couch, the kind of home that takes years to build. Janine sets down her mug. Her hands are still shaking. How do I know you're telling the truth? Nyasha pulls out her phone, opens her photos, scrolls back 3 weeks to the day she took a picture of the wall. Walter is in the background, sitting with his hands folded in his lap. She hands the phone to Janine. Janine takes it, looks at the screen. Her breath catches. That's him, she whispers. I know. He's alive. Yes. Janine sits down hard on the couch. The laundry basket tips over. Clothes spill onto the floor. She doesn't notice. I thought, her voice breaks. I thought he was dead. I looked for him for years. Hired investigators. Filed missing person reports. Nothing. Everyone said he was probably dead. Everyone said I should move on. He's not dead, but he's not doing well. Janine looks up. What do you mean? He's homeless, living on the street, struggling. Nyasha sits down in the chair across from her. And he's in trouble. What kind of trouble? Nyasha tells her everything. The meals, the wall, Calvin Roque, the police, the envelope, the classified documents, the threats. Janine listens without interrupting. When Nyasha finishes, she's quiet for a long time. He told you about Cambodia, she finally says. You knew? Not the details, but I knew something happened. Something that broke him. Janine picks at the edge of her sweatshirt. When I was a kid, he used to have nightmares. Wake up screaming. My mom would calm him down, but he'd be shaking for hours. And then one day he just stopped sleeping. Said it was easier to stay awake. Did he ever talk about it? No. He said it was classified. Said he couldn't tell us even if he wanted to. Janine's voice hardens. And then his records disappeared. The VA said he never served. Said we weren't entitled to benefits. We lost everything. The house. The savings. My college fund. I'm sorry. Don't be. It wasn't your fault. Janine stands up. Starts pacing. My mom blamed him. Said he was lying about his service. Said he was using it as an excuse to fall apart. They fought constantly. And then one day he just left. When was that?